Ayo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. By now you all know that Monique went on Club Shay Shay the other day and pulled a Cat Williams. And while she was rattling off shots at all the people who she feels done wronged her, like Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, Al Sharpton, and everybody else, she also rehashed the ongoing feud that she has going on with D.L. Hughley. So today, we're going to be discussing Monique's interview on Club Shay Shay. And since I mentioned D.L. Hughley, I might as well start off the video by posing an interesting question to y'all that D.L. asked on his radio show the other day, which is this. If a man cheats on his wife and has an outside baby with another woman, and his wife finds out and forgives him, but stipulates that in order for her to stay in the marriage, he can care for the child financially and meet those types of obligations. However, he can't see the child or establish any other type of relationship with the child under any circumstances. Is the wife wrong? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into this Monique interview on Club Shay Shay. First off, you could tell, as soon as Monique sat down on that couch, she was rearing to go because she told Shannon Sharpe that back in the day, he should have yoked up Skip Bayless. I mean, she was ready. But then she proceeded to go down a long list of people she's been beefing with, and she started with Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry. Because if you remember, they asked her to promote the movie Precious for free overseas, and they didn't want to pay her. So she was like, I'm not doing that because I'm only doing what you pay me for. And then like they all got salty and blackballed her. Well, Monique gave Lee Daniels his props because he eventually apologized for expecting her to work like a mammy on a plantation for free. Check this out.
Long time to realize. I am so sorry for hurting you in any way that I did. Yo, she was my best friend. My best friend. Y'all think that Precious was just, that was God working through both of us. And we gonna fucking do it again. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Now, when it comes to Tyler Perry, Monique wasn't as forgiving because this is what she said to Shannon Sharpe. That because of Tyler Perry's rumor, she got blackballed from Hollywood and she couldn't make no money. So her and her family was so broke that they couldn't pay their bills. And Kevin Hart had to lend them some money so that they could get by. Check this out.
When my family was...
His people told her people that Kevin didn't want to do business with her. And when she called Kevin directly, he tried to play it off like he didn't know what was going on. And he told her that he would get back at her. And then she never heard from Kevin again. Alright, so here's my thing. If Kevin wrote your family a check when you were in dire straits, and I'm sure it was not a small check, then that man does not owe you a thing. So if he didn't call you back, he didn't call you back. And guess what? You should appreciate what he did for you, and you shouldn't expect anything more. And you certainly shouldn't be sitting up on Club Shay Shay talking about what Kevin Hart didn't do for you. I mean, if somebody went out of their way to do something kind for you, like save your behind when you was getting ready to lose it all, the kindest thing that you can do is not be on Club Shay Shay trying to expose their business. Alright, so after that, Monique goes on to talk about how much love she has for her zaddy, and how her zaddy be right by her side. And people who don't understand that don't understand what it's like to have a real man holding them down. Check this out.
So when people question my husband and why is he there, you would hope you would have one like that. I remember our beautiful sister Tiffany Haddish did an interview with GQ magazine, and this, in my humble opinion, is where we keep throwing each other under the bus. You're doing an interview with GQ magazine, and I'm assuming the journalist was a white person, and the conversation turned to Monique. And she said, well, I don't do business like Monique do business, and I'm glad I don't have that husband of hers.
But she don't know your husband.
And when I saw that, it's like, Tiffany, if you had a husband like mine, you may not have 2 DUIs. if you had a husband like mine, you may not be caught up in what looks like you could have been grooming a child. And I say all of that with no judgment. But when you speak about having a husband like mine, you open up the door. And I'm saying to you, if you had one like mine, you may not sit in these positions that you can't explain the next day.
Right.
Or it's a hard way to go. So once again...
Well, she doesn't even have a husband, let alone like yours.
Well, damn it, now, you said it. I sipped on that, Shannon. That was a sip. That required a sip. My husband is also my manager, which is my representation.
Right.
But again, we've been so beat down that some of us have a problem with this black man saying, I'm standing right here strong,
right,
and I will not flinch and I will not budge. What a sad state of affairs we are now in, where you have people that look like you and I that would question why this man is standing there.
See, I don't have a problem with a black man standing by a black woman. As a matter of fact, I love to see it. But here's my problem with Sydney. Monique is always bragging about how she has such a good man at home. I mean, a man that holds her down. A man that holds her down more than any other man has ever held down a woman before. But that begs the question, when she was blackballed, how come that good man couldn't pay the bills? How come he couldn't go out there and get him some work? I mean, even if he had to work at Walmart, how come he could not pay the bills and y'all had to borrow money from Kevin Hart? See, to me, a good man is not a man who just piggybacks off of what I'm doing, but a good man is a man who can provide for his family and carry his own weight. I mean, for real, my problem with Sydney is that he gives off Kevin Hunter vibes. You remember Wendy Williams' ex-husband? Let me know in the comments. Does Sydney give off Kevin Hunter vibes? Alright, so after that, Monique
Free in the entertainment business. And we was Monique and Oprah Winfrey that worked at Costco. I see you in the break room. I see you at your cash register. Because she's overstepped.
Yo, did Monique just say that if they weren't in the entertainment business, she would mollywop Oprah Winfrey? I done heard it all. Anyhow, after Monique said that if they were in a different business, she would give Oprah Winfrey the two-piece, she went on to discuss the origins of her beef with D.L. Hughley. Check this out.
Family is sacred.
It's supposed to be.
And we don't cross the line with family. And people begin to get comfortable to jump on the Monique bandwagon of Monique doing things wrong, and she doing this and she doing that. And there's a brother named D.L. Hughley.
Yeah.
And until he take accountability, I won't let it go.
What?
Because, what would you get ready to say?
I was gonna say, what did DL do?
Call up D.L. Hughley and you say, listen, we've been friends for a minute. I don't think that's a good look. Do you mind if we don't air that segment? And then, you know what you do? You keep it moving. Because everything doesn't have to escalate to World War III. And what I'm finding with Monique is not that everything that she's saying is wrong. As a matter of fact, she's made some very good points, especially when it comes to pay disparity. But sometimes the approach is a bit much. I mean, it's like when you're flying a plane. You gotta angle that plane just right to stick the landing. Cause if you don't and you come in too hot, you're gonna crash. Alright, so anyhow, Monique goes on to say that small beef escalated into another beef when her and DL were scheduled to do the same show. Check this out. D.L. Hughley was like, I got to respond to this wench. And he went and uploaded a response video as fast as he could. Check this out.
Well, Club Shay Shay is getting messier and messier. It's almost like Wendy Williams didn't go anywhere. She just got a weight set. And so Monique was on. Every time I see Monique these days, she's on doing some greasy ass video with her and her daddy complaining about something or working out. I don't know nobody that work out that much and gain weight unless every crunch you do has got Captain in front of it. But apparently she goes on Club Shay Shay and tells the story about how she came on my radio show and I wasn't there at the time. And my co-host Jasmine Sanders played a game that we played all the time with everybody called Would You Rather. She apparently was so offended by that she says she got off. She called me. Monique did, and she said I was very dismissive, like, Monique's a liar. When Monique did call me, I heard her complaints, I listened to her, and I pulled the segment. So if I had been as dismissive as she alleges I was, that segment would have aired. It didn't, because I respected her wishes. She's a liar. It's also befuddles this shit out of me how somebody who, as a comedian, talks as much shit about everybody else as she does, she has the temerity to be offended about anything as much as you say about people. Then she encouraged everybody, allegedly it stems from the fact that I used to always talk this shit about her on video after video, and she encouraged her sweet babies to look at the video and find them. Do that. Do exactly what she says. And you know what you're not going to find? You're not going to find any evidence of that, because Monique is a fucking liar. She's lying about that. But what you will find is Monique talking shit about some alleged contract dispute we had. Look at the ticket. It says D.L. Hughley, then Monique. She knows the story. But what she did in response to that, she talked about my dog, my wife. This broad even brought out my daughter's personal trauma. My daughter was molested, and Monique brought that shit out and told the world that I allowed my daughter to be raped in front of me. The lying motherfucker. She knows she was lying. And it only stopped when everybody from my family checked her.
Okay, so if you don't remember, DL once shared a story about how when his daughter told him that she was essayed by a friend, at first he didn't believe her, but then he shared that when he learned the truth, he realized that it was one of the biggest mistakes of his life because he failed his daughter, and he also acknowledged that he regretted his response. So, when him and Monique were arguing back and forth about who was supposed to be headlining the show, she called him a coward for not protecting his daughter, and she also asked how his wife must feel every time she kneels down to give the coward sloppy toppy. Now, after that, one of DL's daughters jumped online and called Monique out in a post that said, "You've now publicly disrespected my mother, who I love and care for very much, and my baby sister, who I love and care for very much, to get back at my father, who I love, respect, and care for very much. At this point, I feel like you're asking my family and myself to act out of character. Out of all the things you could have legitimately said about my dad, if that's the route that you wanted to take, you chose to be deliberately mean and hurtful to two black women who have nothing to do with this conversation. Using my mama and my sister to show people my father's character only shows how little mental stability, dignity, morality, and respect you have not only for yourself, but for other black women." Okay, so I just wanted to quickly recap that so we're all on the same page. Back to DL.
It's interesting. You know what else you won't see Monique doing? You won't ever see her with her family, videos with her children or grandchildren, because nobody fucks with me. How do you have sweet babies when your own babies don't fuck with you? How do you love us for real when there's no evidence of anybody loving you for real, except your daddy, who you apparently have to pay? And FYI, daughters are paid for by daddies, not daddies who get paid by their daughters. You know what else you won't see Monique doing? Telling jokes. Monique, if she'd have spent as much time actually writing jokes and writing her Netflix special as she did complaining about not having one, it wouldn't have been trash. It got the worst reviews of any Netflix special in history, because that's what Monique does. She complains and she has grievances. You never see her being a human being. You never see her being sweet and warm to people, except when she's using it to butter somebody up to get something. There's a reason why everywhere she goes, this shit starts. Everywhere she goes. How is it that nobody fucks with you, not even your family? How do you, well, I was on the road getting it. I get it every goddamn week. Look at my schedule versus yours. See how much I'm going. And I still manage to have a relationship that I cherish with my children. Can you say the same? You can't. Because all you do is talk about your grievances and who did you wrong. There's a reason you're by yourself. There's a reason you got to pay a man to love you. It's sad. There's an old adage that says you can't buy love. It's a shame, Monique, that you probably always will have to.
Wow. D.L. Hughley went mad hard on that response. I mean, do you guys think that he needed to go that hard? Well, anyways, after D.L. Hughley made his response, Monique and Zaddy were like, we gotta respond to the response. So they came back and said this.
We wanted to address first and foremost our brother, D.L. Hughley. And we are firm believers on what is right and what is wrong. Yes. So we got to start off by saying there was an inaccuracy as it regards Monique saying that there was a cease and desist that was given to DL to shut it down. What had taken place, to be accurate, was after Monique spoke to Brother DL on that conversation, Brother DL said, what?
Well, after we spoke on that conversation, when we hung up that phone, the last thing he said was, "It is what it is." And I said, "DL, then we're going to have to get our attorney involved." That's the last thing me and DL Hughley said on that conversation.
And after having that conversation with Monique, we went and got our attorney involved, Attorney Anderson. At the time, there were some emails that were transferred back and forth between his side and our side, and it escalated to a point when we had our attorney on the email, whereby then finally DL said that he would scratch the interview.
Yes.
So it was inaccurate that a cease and desist had to be given. However, that was the next step, and that's what Monique remembered, because when I discussed it with her, we said that would be the next step. But to DL's credit, at that moment, when it had escalated, that's when he decided to shut it down. However, that is a bit different from how it seemed to have been communicated, whereby on the phone, they were having a conversation and it was kumbaya. Though he never used those words, kumbaya, it did not end with her being under the impression that this was going to be resolved and shut down.
I mean, but it was eventually shut down, so why are we still talking about it? Anyway, Monique goes on to address what she said about the daughter and the wife. Check this out.
You know, when I watched DL say, she went after my wife, she went after my daughters, I want to really be clear who I went after so that there's no confusion here. When I was on stage, when I'm on stage and we are performers, we are performing to the audience in front of us. When I was on that stage and I said it must be hard to perform oral sex,
but differently,
okay, on a coward, that had nothing to do with Mrs. Hughley. That insult was directed straight to you, DL. That had nothing to do with your wife. That was straight to you. So it felt like you were trying to pass it off as if I was going after your wife.
If she wasn't talking about DL's wife, then I wonder if Monique was talking about the chick that DL Hughley had the side baby with. Oh my goodness, the shade. All right, Monique, continue.
When it comes to your daughter, to the baby that you did a post about, you did an interview about, I didn't do that interview. I simply reposted what you said. So when you say, Monique, you went after my daughter, that's untrue, DL. I posted what you said. And then when you said when you were really going for it with your shades on, and you said, Monique said I stood by and watched my daughter be raped. DL Hughley, that's your conscience talking to you, brother. I never said that. I never said that.
Source, can we do a fact check right here? Can you please pull up Monique's original post? Alright, so when this was all going down, Monique posted, when my husband and I say we have to fight for little girls coming up behind us, and you see DL didn't believe his own daughter over a friend because he seemingly likes his friend more than he loved his own daughter and didn't want to be bothered by the inconvenient truth, this highlights why the black woman isn't believed when she publicly speaks about her trauma. I don't know, Monique. I think you did a little bit more than just simply repost his post. So then, Monique and her husband start talking about DL Hughley and his support dog. Check this out.
And we've seen it can be challenging. That is why, DL Hughley, I have no hate in my heart for you, brother. When I see you walking through the airport with a support dog, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying, brother, if you have to have this,
why you going after the people like you do?
Why?
It ain't necessary.
Yo, why they bringing DL Hughley's like support dog into this? Well, anyways, here's my thoughts on the whole situation. As far as the comedy show and who was supposed to headline in the contracts, both of them are wrong. Monique is wrong and DL is wrong. And the only person who's right in this entire situation is Lunel. Because Lunel was wise enough to realize that if the promoter told DL that he was supposed to headline and the promoter also told Monique that she was supposed to headline, then the person that both of them should be mad at is the promoter. Because the promoter is the person who was really trying to get over. Check this out.
So what were your thoughts on the video of Monique on stage and what happened in Detroit?
To be completely honest, as I started watching it, the word "here we go again" came into my mind. I really have been pulling from Monique this whole time, and I had told everybody, I said, everybody goes down, but everybody gets up, and somebody's going to give her a job. She's going to do something incredible, and she's going to be on everybody's tongues again. And that's what I truly believed when 50 came out and said he was going to have Monique join Black Mafia family. Then Lee Daniels came with his too much, too little, too late apology only after he heard about 50 messing with Monique. Then Lee came back, double back. So I thought that everything was going to be good. Personally, I couldn't care less about this funk because it seems very ego-based to me. I have been on shows before where the order or the lineup may not have been. I thought it was ridiculous because, first of all, I dare anybody to follow me, first of all. But I have been on shows with maybe what I thought was possibly a not as experienced or lesser known comedian. And then, if it don't affect my money, I will just go out there in whatever order you put me in, smash and let you see what you can do. But what I would say with this situation seems more promoter-based than it does. Well, I'm not following her. Well, let me go first. DL came up with paperwork that said he was headlining. But then Monique came up with paperwork that said she was headlining. So the fishy work, to me, seems like it is promoter-based.
Right.
And that it should not have been personally based with your fellow comic, These promoters can do shady things. Sometimes they messy. They might want to pit somebody against each other. And then it did. But actually, Monique's fight is not our fight. You understand? Why involve us every time you got a problem? Because, frankly, after so many problems, I'm going to speak for myself. After so many issues publicly, I'm just not interested in hearing it anymore. It's sort of like the boy who cried wolf. Now she makes a lot of good points a lot of times, but right now I'm over the anger, and the anger is so palpable that bringing us into that is like somebody watching somebody get beat across the street, and it's not really a fight. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's too much for me, and I'm not going to be involved in it, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to speak on it again except for your show.
Look, like I said before, Monique has some valid reasons to be disenchanted when it comes to certain inequities and injustices that have been done to her, as do all black women and black men too, and many people support her cause. However, like Lunel pointed out, Monique needs to realize that every fight that you have is not everybody else's fight. And one thing that I didn't like about Monique's approach when she was on Club Shay Shay is that she kept trying to pull Shannon Sharpe into her fight. And even when she saw that he wanted to remain neutral, she insisted to the point of almost bullying him to pick a side. See, Cat Williams didn't do that. Cat Williams said what he said, he owned what he said, and in the immortal words of King Harris, he stood on business. And I know, somebody's gonna come in the comment section like, Sauce, you being a little hard on Monique today. Yeah, maybe I am, but maybe that's because I'm tired of hearing about the same beef over and over again. I mean, Precious came out in freaking 2009. It's 2024. That's 15 years of hearing about the same darn beef. Listen, I'ma need Tyler Perry to apologize and hit this chick off with a check for $10 million so we can all move on with our lives. Cause you know darn well that the only type of apology that Monique is accepting from Tyler Perry is in the form of a check. Now, don't get me wrong, because I do want Monique to win in the game of life. But what Monique and Zaddy need to understand is that every fight is not a fight for social justice and civil rights, and you don't always have to be looking for the moral victory. What I mean is, every disagreement that you have with somebody doesn't have to turn into a civil war. Or maybe it does, because Monique announced that she's going on tour with Cat Williams, and after she made that announcement, Cat Williams dropped a poster that said Def Jam Comedy, Civil War, and it showed his crew, which included himself, Monique, Gary Owens, D-Ray Davis, and Corey Holcomb, facing off against Cedric the Entertainer, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Tiffany Haddish, D.L. Hughley, Steve Harvey, and Ricky Smiley. Listen, you gotta give Cat Williams credit, because if there's one thing that he knows how to do, he knows how to promote. Anyhow, let me know what you think. Did Monique's Club Shay Shay have the same effect as Cat Williams' Club Shay Shay? Also, do you think that Monique is right for rehashing her gripes with Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, Kevin Hart, and D.L. Hughley? Or do you think, enough already? We're tired of hearing about the same ish on a different day. You and Zaddy need to move on. And last but not least, do you think that Monique and D.L. Hughley are right to be attacking each other? Or do you think Lunel is right and they should both be beefing with the promoter? Because the promoter is the one that did them both dirty. Let me know what you think in the comments. And while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.